Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about something I've been staring at for quite a long time now. Yep, we're talking monitors today. This right here is the LG 38GN950B. Welcome to my first monitor review. Now, I'm going to be changing my monitor setup slightly over the next few weeks, and I'll talk about that in an upcoming video. But before I did that, I still wanted to talk about this monitor and why I still recommend it for both productivity and gaming. Now, the LG 38GN950 is part of LG's Ultragear lineup, representing some of the best monitors they have to offer. The 38GN950 is 89 centimeters wide, 40 centimeters tall, and 11 centimeters deep, so it does take up a good amount of space on your desk. It weighs around 16 pounds, which isn't that bad for a monitor of this size. It has a borderless bezel design, giving it a modern look. It does have an all-plastic construction, but overall, it feels solid. The stand it comes with is decent, with very little wobble. It's pretty much your standard fare LG type of monitor arm. However, there isn't any swivel and very little tilt range, so I would recommend putting this monitor on a monitor arm if you can. The stand itself also has some red accents here and there to denote the LG Ultragear lineup. At the back of the monitor is a USB hub with two USB 3.0 ports, which requires power from a USB Type-B cable. It allows one connection for DisplayPort 1.4 and also has two HDMI 2.0 ports. The LG 38GN950B comes with what LG calls Sphere Lighting 2.0, which is really good at providing ambient light behind your monitor to reduce eye strain. I touched on this briefly in my previous desk setup video. It comes with 6 color options: red, blue, purple, and white, and 2 other options, one called Dynamic, which effectively is RGB goodness or RGB madness, and Peaceful, which is really just a slow fade through the static colors. The top of the monitor has a gilt design with the red accents of the LG Ultragear series pouring through. I'm personally okay with this, but some people don't really like it. It really just depends on your personal preference. For branding, it's quite nice. There is a small LG logo at the bottom center of the monitor, and at the back is the LG logo with red lettering. It is a gaming branded monitor, however, it is tasteful and doesn't come across too strongly. The 38GN950 is a WQHD Nano IPS display with a max resolution of 3840 by 1600 with around 111 pixels per inch. It's technically not quite 4K, even though that's what it's advertised at. You see, the term 4K is thrown around quite a bit these days, so if we're talking 4K horizontally, sure. Even though this monitor is advertised at 21 by 9, this is technically a 21 by 10 monitor, so it has fewer pixels at 4K than 16 by 9 monitors, which are true 4K at 3840 by 2160. It has a 144Hz refresh rate that is overclockable to 160Hz on the fast mode. I personally never do this, as ghosting is a bit of a problem at those settings. For those of you who aren't familiar with Nano IPS, it's a technology from LG that applies a layer of nanoparticles to the backlight of the display to increase the color gamut. This is why the LG 38GN950 has a DCI-P3 color gamut of 98%, an sRGB color gamut of 135%, providing more vibrant and lifelike colors. This is why the LG 38GN950 is excellent for creative work. Nano IPS displays also offer really good response times, which, on top of the high refresh rates, makes this an excellent choice for gamers. Now, the term response time is thrown around quite a bit these days, so for those of you not familiar with it, let me quickly explain. Your monitor is made up of millions of pixels. 4K monitors, for example, have around 8.3 million pixels or so. Each pixel is made up of 3 subpixels, with each subpixel having a color filter of red, green, and blue light. By changing the active and inactive states of these subpixels, your monitor can produce different colors. Response times are then the time it takes for one of those subpixels to go from black to white to black again, measured in milliseconds. There are different standards that response times are measured in, for example, gray to gray, which is a bit more complicated. What you really need to know though is that better response times lead to better image and motion production qualities, which are good for gamers. The 38GN950B supports FreeSync natively instead of Gsync, but is still Gsync compatible. Like response times, the terms Gsync and FreeSync are thrown around quite a bit, so for those of you not familiar with them, they're both technologies from NVIDIA and AMD respectively that both do the same thing. They're used to reduce the occurrence of screen tearing, which happens when your monitor's refresh rate doesn't match the frame rate of the game that you're playing. Monitors like the 38GN950 that are both Gsync and FreeSync compatible use something called variable refresh rate. What this means is that your monitor now has the ability to match its refresh rate to the frame rate of your graphics card. By doing this, you'll now see images right when they're rendered, and that reduces screen tearing. Nano IPS displays, however, don't have the greatest contrast ratios. The 38GN950B has an advertised contrast ratio of 1000:1. By contrast, pun intended, VA panels have around 3000:1 up to 6000:1 contrast ratio, so for doing things like watching movies in the dark, they certainly are a better choice. One thing that the 38GN950 is not great at is HDR. With a peak brightness of around 544 nits, it is rated for HDR 600, which is just okay. It only has 12 dimming zones, which is nowhere acceptable for a decent HDR experience. To give you an idea, a monitor that provides decent HDR experience has a peak brightness of, at minimum, 1000 nits and between 384 and 1152 dimming zones on average. If you're looking for a great HDR experience, you'll want a different monitor. The monitor menu is activated by pressing the joystick at the bottom of the monitor, and selections can be made by moving it in all 4 directions. You can change the input mode, configure the screen settings, set a specific game mode, and power off the monitor. There are different preset game modes, including modes for first-person shooters, RTS games, and more. Beside the joystick is a round slider that you can press to change the ambient light setting. Overall, it's a fairly intuitive system, and I don't have any complaints here. In addition to the low response times, high refresh rates, and Gsync and FreeSync compatibility, the 38GN950 is great for gaming due to its large size, which I have found really increases immersion. There's nothing quite like playing some titles on the screen in a 21:10 aspect ratio and really getting lost in their worlds. As you might imagine, with the Nano IPS panel, great color gamut, high pixel density, and a large amount of screen real estate, the 38GN950 is great for productivity. For video editors, this thing is quite awesome, as you can view large parts of your timeline at a time. Because of the large screen real estate, you can easily multitask and put several windows side by side. Personally, as a software engineer, I really appreciate the extra vertical space that you get on this monitor than regular ultrawides, as it allows me to see more code at a time. Also, I found that text is very clear and easy to read on this panel, making consuming either code or documentation for my day-to-day work easy. It's hard to capture on camera, but text is sharp and easy to read. As with any IPS monitor, the 38GN950B has some IPS glow. It's hard to capture on camera, but my unit has a bit of glow on the corners of the monitor, which is quite normal for an IPS ultrawide display. Overall, I've been pretty happy with the 38GN950B. It's filled the need for me to have a monitor that's good for my day-to-day engineering work, gaming, and now content creation. And personally, I think that at 38 inches, this really is the sweet spot in size for ultrawide monitors. The 38GN950B is still a bit of a niche product in my opinion. First of all, as of the making of this video, it costs around 1,600 Canadian dollars, but I've seen that price go up and down, so it's hard to say what price you're gonna find it at when you go looking for it. But generally speaking, at that price, you could build yourself an entirely new PC. It ultimately comes down to your own use case. Choosing a monitor is another video in and of itself. If all you need is a gaming monitor, then there are plenty of other options out there that won't break the bank. And if all you need is a productivity monitor, then again, there are plenty of other options out there. A very similar monitor to the LG 38GN950B is the Dell Alienware AW3821DW. There's also the Acer Predator X38 if you're looking to spend a little bit more money. So, in a nutshell, if you're someone who wants a monitor that can kind of do it all, gaming, content creation, and/or productivity work, you specifically want an ultra-wide monitor for gaming, you want a little bit more vertical space than your traditional 1440p ultra-wide monitor, you're not bothered by the lack of HDR capabilities, and you are okay with the steep price tag, then this monitor might be for you. Just be absolutely sure that you have a graphics card that's capable of pushing these high resolutions and high refresh rates for gaming, and of course, you have enough room on your desk. That's all I have for now, guys. If you're still here, please comment ultra-wide down below, just so I can give you a like for sticking around until the end of the video. If you like this video, please hit the like button and please consider subscribing and following me on Instagram at 2ByteThomas. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.